After studying this module, one would be able to learn about the key concepts and major constructs of rational emotive behavior therapy or REBT, understand the counseling process of this approach, examine the techniques and procedures adopted by the REBT practitioner, and evaluate the contributions of REBT. Cognitive behavioral approaches had a profound impact on the field of counseling and psychotherapy. These approaches share these attributes. 1. A collaborative relationship between client and counselor. 2. The premise that psychological distress is largely a function of disturbances in cognitive processes. 3. A focus on changing cognitions to produce desired change in affect and behavior. And 4. A generally time limited and educational treatment focusing on specific and structured target problems. All of the cognitive behavioral approaches are based on a structured psychoeducational model, and they all emphasize the role of homework, place responsibility on the client to assume an active role both during and outside of the counseling sessions, and draw from a variety of cognitive and behavioral strategies to bring about change. Rational emotive behavior therapy or REBT is the first form of cognitive behavior therapy. The person most often associated with it is Albert Ellis, 1955, its founder and leading exponent. Ellis was originally trained in the traditional classic psychoanalytic method, which he practiced during the late 1940s and early 1950s. Like Carl Rogers, Ellis became disillusioned with the confines of the psychoanalytic approach when he realized that no matter how much insight clients gained, nor how well they seemed to understand the events of their early childhood and to be able to connect them with their present emotional disturbances, they rarely lost their presenting symptoms. And when they did, they still retained tendencies to create new troubling symptoms. Exploring this problem, he discovered that the source of his clients' emotional difficulties and psychological misperceptions were not simply a result of what had happened in the past, but were also a reflection of an active, ongoing process in their lives. REBT takes the position that people disturb themselves by their irrational beliefs, and that changing those beliefs to rational ones will reduce people's levels of disturbance and lead to positive changes in emotions and behaviors. Practitioners of REBT typically adopt an active, directive, and vigorous style and make use of a broad range of strategies to effect rapid change.
The many roads taken in a rational emotive behavior counseling lead toward the one destination of clients minimizing their emotional disturbances and self defeating behaviors by acquiring a more realistic and workable philosophy of life. Other important counseling goals include reducing a tendency for blaming oneself or others for what goes wrong in the life and learning ways to deal with future difficulties. REBT is designed to induce people to examine and change some of their most basic values that keep them disturbed. The counselor has specific tasks to perform, and the first step is to show clients that they have incorporated many irrational shoulds, oughts, and musts. Clients learn to separate their rational beliefs from their irrational ones. The counselor encourages and persuades clients to engage in activities that will counter their self defeating beliefs. A second step in the counseling process is to demonstrate that clients are keeping their emotional disturbances active by continuing to think illogically. In other words, because clients keep re-indoctrinating themselves, they are largely responsible for their own neuroses. To get beyond clients' mere recognition of irrational thoughts, the counselor takes a third step, that helping clients modify their thinking, and abandon their irrational ideas, the counselor assists the client in understanding the vicious circle of the self blaming process. The fourth step in the counseling process is to challenge clients to develop a rational philosophy of life so that in the future they can avoid becoming the victim of other irrational beliefs. Tackling only specific problems can give no assurance that new illogical fears will not emerge. What is desirable, then, is for the counselor to dispute the core of the irrational thinking and to teach clients how to substitute rational beliefs and attitudes for irrational ones. Ellis outlines what the REBT practitioner does. First, encourages clients to discover a few basic irrational ideas that motivate much disturbed behavior. Second, challenges clients to validate their ideas. Third, demonstrates to client the illogical nature of their thinking. Fourth, uses humor to confront the irrationality of the client's thinking. Fifth, uses a logical analysis to minimize these irrational beliefs. Sixth, shows how these beliefs are inoperative and how they will lead to future emotional and behavioral disturbances. 7. Explain how these ideas can be replaced with more rational ideas that are empirically grounded. 8. Teaches clients how to apply the scientific approach to thinking so that they can observe and minimize present or future irrational ideas and illogical deductions that foster self destructive ways of feeling and behaving. And finally, ninth, uses several cognitive, emotive, and behavioral methods to help clients work directly on their feelings and to act against their disturbances. The counselor takes the mystery out of the therapeutic process, teaching clients about the cognitive hypothesis of disturbance and showing how irrational beliefs lead to negative consequences. When clients understand that certain irrational beliefs lead to dysfunctional emotions and behaviors, the counselor challenges client to examine why they are clinging to the old misconceptions instead of letting go of them. Insight alone does not typically lead to personality change, but it can help clients see how they are continuing to sabotage themselves and what they can do to change. REBT practitioners actively teach clients that by hard work and by carrying out behavioral homework assignments, they can minimize irrational thinking that leads to disturbances in feelings and behaving. Once clients begin to accept that their beliefs are the primary cause of their emotions and behaviors, they are able to participate effectively in the cognitive restructuring process. In large measure, the client's role in REBT is that of a learner. Counseling is viewed as a re educative process whereby the client learns how to apply logical thought to problem solving and emotional change. The counseling process focuses on clients' experience in the present. Like the person centered and existential approaches to counseling, REBT mainly emphasizes here and now experiences and clients' present ability to change the pattern of thinking and emoting that they constructed earlier. The counselor does not devote much time to exploring clients' early history and making connections between their past and the present behavior. Nor does the counselor usually explore in depth clients' early relationships with their parents or siblings. Instead, the counseling process stresses that regardless of clients' basic, irrational philosophies of life, they are presently disturbed because they still believe in their self defeating views of themselves and their world. Questions of where, why, or how they acquired their irrational philosophy are of secondary importance to REBT. However, other cognitive behavior therapies place more emphasis on this. Clients are expected to actively work outside the counseling session. Homework is carefully designed and agreed on and is aimed at getting clients to carry out positive actions that induce emotional and attitudinal change. These assignments are checked in later sessions, and clients learn effective ways to dispute self-defeating thinking. Toward the end of counseling, clients review their progress, make plans, and identify strategies for dealing with continuing or potential problems. In close agreement with the person centered concept of unconditional positive regard is REBT's concept of full acceptance or tolerance. Counselors show their full acceptance by refusing to evaluate their clients as a person while at the same time being willing to honestly confront clients' nonsensical thinking and self destructive behaviors. Unlike the relationship oriented therapies, REBT does not place a premium on personal warmth and empathic understanding. Too much warmth and understanding can be counterproductive, fostering a sense of dependence for approval from the counselor. REBT practitioners accept their client as imperfect beings without giving personal warmth instead of using a variety of impersonal techniques such as teaching, behavior modification, but always modeling as well as teaching unconditional full acceptance. Ellis and Dryden suggest that REBT practitioners be first, structured but flexible; second, intellectually, cognitively, and philosophically inclined; third, active and directive in their style; fourth, comfortable using behavioral instructions and teaching; fifth, untroubled by fear of failure and willing to take thoughtful risks; sixth, emotionally healthy, accepting of themselves and others as fallible; seventh, practical and scientific rather than mystical and magical; and finally, comfortable with a variety of interventions. Rational emotive behavior counselors are often open and direct in disclosing their own beliefs and values. Some are willing to share their own imperfections as way of disputing clients' unrealistic notions that counselors are completely put together persons. They do not hesitate to use persuasion, praise, exaggeration, instruction, humor, song, and anecdotes from their own lives to help people think more rationally and make positive changes. According to Ellis, practitioners should not be blank screens. They should be highly active, genuine, and directive, revealing their own thoughts and experiences, but always maintain a professional relationship with clients. Transference is not encouraged, and when it does occur, the counselor is likely to confront it. The counselor wants to show that a transference relationship is based on the irrational beliefs that the client must be liked and loved by the counselor or parent figure. REBT differs from many other counseling approaches in that it does not place much value on free association, working with dreams, focusing on the client's past history, endlessly expressing and exploring feelings, or dealing with transference phenomena. Ellis believes devoting any length of time to these factors is indulgence therapy, which might result in clients feeling better but will rarely aid them in getting better. REBT practitioners usually incorporate a forceful cognitive methodology in the counseling process. They demonstrate to the clients in a quick and direct manner what it is that they are continuing to tell themselves. Then they teach clients how to deal with these self statements so that they no longer believe them, encouraging them to acquire a philosophy based on reality. REBT relies heavily on thinking, disputing, debating, challenging, interpreting, explaining, and teaching. The following are some cognitive techniques available to the counselor. The most common cognitive method of REBT consists of the counselors actively disputing clients' irrational beliefs and teaching them how to do this challenging on their own. Clients go over a particular must, should, or ought until they no longer hold that irrational belief, or at least until it is diminished in strength. Here are some examples of questions or statements clients learn to tell themselves. Why must people treat me fairly? How do I become a total flop if I don't succeed any important task I try? Beale, Kopek, and D. Gusby described four strategies of disputing. First, logical disputes identify magical thinking and leaps in logic. Second, empirical disputes focuses on an accumulation of evidence. Functional disputing strategies focus on the practical consequences of people's belief, looking at whether their beliefs get them what they want. Rational alternative beliefs offer a weighable alternative belief. Beale et al. Also describes four disputing styles. First, a didactic style is exploratory, educational, efficient, but involves giving information rather than using dialogues. For example, Mira, I think you may be jumping to unwarranted conclusions about the significance of your sister's behavior. Keep in mind that she is still recovering from her divorce and that may be affecting her mood. Second, a Socratic style involves using questions to promote client reasoning. This is the most common REBT technique. For example, what do you make of your sister's call? An invitation to visit. Do those behaviors suggest she is withdrawing from your relationship? Third, a metaphorical style uses analogies, especially from the client's own experience, to dispute beliefs. For example, your reaction to your sister's visit reminds me of the time you believed your supervisor was dissatisfied with your work because she did not offer you a ride to a conference. Then later, you learned that she had to leave the meeting early because of a medical appointment and so could not give you a ride. I think that was the same month you received a top evaluation from your supervisor. And fourth, a humorous style disputes the belief in a light-hearted way. Practitioners should be sure never to make fun of people, only of their thoughts and behaviors. For example, so let's see. It sounds like you are equating the number of words a person speaks to you with how much they like you. How about for the next day you count how many words each person you encounter says to you? Then we can determine which one likes you the best. The four strategies of disputing and four styles can be combined to form 16 different ways in which practitioners can approach the process of disputing beliefs. This variety of strategies allow practitioners to adopt their approaches to disputing beliefs to the needs of a particular client as well as to the counselor's own personality. REBT clients are expected to make list of their problems, look for their absolutistic beliefs, and dispute these beliefs. Homework assignments are a way of tracking down the absolutist shoulds and musts that are a part of their internalized self messages. Part of homework consists of applying the ABC theory to many of the problems clients encounter in daily life. They often fill out the REBT self help form. The counselor actually teaches the client how to think differently or models for them. In carrying out homework in REBT, clients are encouraged to put themselves in risk taking situations that will allow them to challenge their self limiting beliefs. For example, a client with a talent for acting who is afraid to act in front of an audience because of fear of failure may be asked to take a small part in a stage play. The client is instructed to replace negative self statements such as I will fail, I will look foolish, or no one will like me with more positive messages such as even if I do behave foolishly at times, this does not make me a foolish person. I can act. I will do the best I can. It is nice to be liked, but not every day will like me. And isn't the end of the world. The theory behind this and similar assignments is that client often creates a negative self-fulfilling prophecy and actually fail because they tell themselves in advance that they would. Clients are encouraged to carry out specific assignments during the sessions and especially in every situation between the sessions. In this way, clients gradually learn to deal with anxiety and challenge basic irrational thinking. Because counseling is seen as an educational process, clients are also encouraged to read REBT self help books. They also listen to and criticize tapes of their own counseling sessions. Making changes is hard work, and doing work outside the sessions is of real value in revising clients' thinking, feeling, and behaving. REBT contends that imprecise language is one of the causes of distorted thinking process. Clients learn that musts, oughts, and shoulds can be replaced by preferences. Instead of saying it would be absolutely awful if, they can learn to say it would be inconvenient if. Clients who use language patterns that reflect helplessness and self condemnation can learn to employ new self statements. They can assume personal power by replacing their shoulds and musts with non absolute preferences. Through the process of changing their language patterns and making new self statements, clients come to think and behave differently. As a consequence, they also begin to feel differently. REBT contends that emotional disturbances often result from taking oneself too seriously or losing one's sense of perspectives and humor over the events of life. Counselors employ humor to assist clients in disputing their masturbatory philosophy of life. Ellis himself tended to use a good deal of humor to combat exaggerated thinking that leads clients into trouble. In his workshops and therapy sessions, Ellis typically uses humorous songs and he encourages people to sing to themselves or in groups when they feel depressed or anxious. Humor shows the absurdity of certain ideas that clients steadfastly maintain, and it can be of value in helping clients take themselves much less seriously. REBT practitioners uses a variety of emotive procedures including unconditional acceptance, rational emotive role playing, modeling, rational emotive imagery, and shame attacking exercises. Rational emotive imagery. This technique is a form of intense mental practice designed to establish new emotional patterns. Clients imagine themselves thinking, feeling, and behaving exactly the way they would like to think, feel, and behave in real life. They can also be shown how to imagine one of the worst things that could happen to them, how to feel inappropriately upset about the situation, how to intensely experience their feelings, and then how to change the experience to an appropriate feeling. Once clients are able to change their feelings to appropriate ones, they stand a better chance of changing their behavior in the situation. Such a technique can be usefully applied to interpersonal and other situations that are problematic for the individual. Ellis maintains that if we keep practicing rational emotive imagery several times a week for a few weeks, we will reach the point that we no longer feel upset over such events. There are both emotional and behavioral components in role playing. The counselor often interrupts to show clients what they are telling themselves to create their disturbances and what they can do to change their inappropriate feelings to appropriate ones. Clients can rehearse certain behaviors to bring out what they feel in a situation. The focus is on working through the underlying irrational beliefs that are related to unpleasant feelings. Ellis has developed exercises to help people reduce irrational shame over behaving in certain ways. He thinks that we can stubbornly refuse to feel ashamed by telling ourselves that it is not catastrophic if someone thinks we are foolish. The main point of these exercises is that clients work to feel unashamed even when others clearly disapprove of them. This procedure typically involves both emotive and behavioral components. Clients may accept a homework assignment to take the risk of doing something that they are ordinarily afraid to do because of what others might think. Minor infractions of social conventions often serve as useful catalysts. Ellis has suggested the use of force and energy as a way to help clients go from the intellectual to emotional insight. Clients are also shown how to conduct forceful dialogues with themselves in which they express their irrational beliefs and then powerfully dispute them. Sometimes the counselor will engage in reversal role playing by strong clinching to the client's self defeating philosophies. The client is asked to vigorously debate with the counselor in an attempt to persuade him or her to give up these dysfunctional ideas. Force and energy are basically part of shame attacking exercises. REBT practitioners use most of the regular behavioral counseling procedure, especially operant conditioning, self management principles, systematic desensitization, relaxation techniques, and modeling. Behavioral homework assignments to be carried out in real life situations are particularly important. These assignments are done systematically and are recorded and analyzed from a form. Many involve desensitization. skill training, and assertiveness training. REBT clients are encouraged to desensitize themselves gradually and also, at times, to perform the very things they dread doing. According to him, these studies mainly test how people feel better but not how they have made a profound philosophical behavioral change and thereby get better. Most REBT studies focus on cognitive, not emotive and behavioral methods. Smith and Glass, in their meta analytical review of psychotherapy outcome studies, concluded that REBT was the second most effective psychotherapy, with systematic desensitization being first.
Let us summarize this module now. Dryden et al. 2003 identified 18 steps that counselors can use in each session to help them implement the critical aspects of REBT to effect client change. They noted that these steps can be applied to all age groups, even though the techniques used at each step may differ. The first step is to ask clients to describe the problem, and the second step is to reach an agreement about the target problem. In each session, clients may present different issues, and it is important to have consensus on what is to be addressed. The third step is to agree on a goal with respect to the problem that was defined. The fourth step is to ask for a specific example of the target problem. Assessing emotional and behavioral consequences and an assessment of the activating event occurs in steps 5 and 6. In step 7, the counselor and client agree on a goal with respect to the assessed problem. In step 8, the counselor helps the client see the link between the problem as the defined goal and the problem as the assessed goal. Step 9 involves the counselor determining whether there are any relevant secondary emotional problems that must be dealt. For example, being anxious about being anxious. In the 10th step, the counselor teaches the connection between beliefs, feelings, and behaviors, and this is followed by an assessment of irrational beliefs in step 11. Step 12 involved connecting the irrational beliefs to the disturbed emotions and behaviors and connecting the rational beliefs to the healthy emotions and behaviors. Disputing the irrational beliefs using a combination of logical, empirical, and functional disputes is step 13. Proposing alternative rational ideas and using direct teaching are also appropriate. In step 14, the counselor helps clients deepen their conviction in the rational beliefs through continued disputing and by helping clients describe how they would behave differently by adopting this new belief. Step 15 involves checking the validity of the activating event. In step 16, clients are encouraged to practice new learning through the use of homework assignments that may include worksheets or various types of behavioral activities. Step 17 is checking homework assignments. The final step is to facilitate the working through process. This 18-step model is particularly helpful to counselors who are just beginning to practice REBT. Please refer to the value addition of Learn More as well, in which a counseling session unfolds in this module. A client might say or imply, "I must have counseling to cope. Without it, I will go back to the way things were." Ellis encouraged clients to maintain their therapeutic gains by doing the following. First, reinforce therapeutic learning by reviewing what worked in counseling. Second, continuously risk and try new behaviors. You can use successes to add to a success mentality and mistakes to reaffirm that you can survive poor decisions. Third, when you do not get what you want, use rational thinking continuously to generate appropriate negative feelings such as sadness, disappointment, and/or frustration, and note the difference between those thoughts and feelings such as panic, depression, shame, and extreme guilt. Next, Encourage self-motivation and dispute procrastination. Next, practice using REBT and teach it to friends. Practicing reinstills rational living, and the more members of your social system know about REBT, the more support you are likely to receive. Finally, find pleasure in life. Developing new interests provides intrinsic rewards that give you something to strive to attain.